and welcome to Nutrition Moments, a show that's all about helping us to make informed decisions about the food we eat and the life we live. I am Padilla Okuno, and I'm passionate about providing us with the knowledge we need to nourish our body and our mind. Let's kick off the program with insights, recent events and developments in the field of nutrition on Nutrinews. You are welcome back. And if you are just joining us, it's Nutrition Moments. The Nutrilent segment of the show focuses on the intersection between nutrition and our health. And today we shall be looking at a critical topic that affects millions worldwide, and Nigeria in particular at this time. That is cholera. Cholera is an infectious disease that causes severe dehydration and death if left untreated. Do you know nutrition plays a critical role in managing and preventing cholera? Join me as we look at the link between cholera, dehydration, and nutrition, and how we can protect ourselves and loved ones from this disease. With the recent outbreak of cholera in Nigeria, the governments of affected states like Lagos, Cross River, and Abia have stepped up advocacy through the media to create awareness about the disease for the safety of lives of people. A cross-section of the populace was interviewed to assess the level of awareness and knowledge of the disease.
People were saying it everywhere, and I'm also hearing it in radio, and I'm also seeing how it's happening to people through television. I'm seeing them, how they are being affected. Cholera is a very dangerous sickness, which every one of us needs to be hygienic and to be careful of what we take.
I'm aware of cholera on TV. I saw it on TV and virtually on social media.
It's happening in Lagos and everything, the outbreak in Lagos, so I've read about it. It's a bacteria affects people. I think you can get infected through drinking, infected water or we can transmit it from this housefly. When they infect your water or when you drink infected water, you get cholera.
Cholera is a disease. It's a disease by bacteria, and it is associated with dirty environments, and the bacteria coming in contact with our own food. The symptoms are just the person becomes weak, he goes to the toilet often and vomits.
Cholera is a disease which spread out into through food and substances. When cholera enters into the immune system, our body will start vomiting, and upon vomiting, and until all the water dry, until we do not more have the strength, and it can cause death.
Just for us to know how to maintain ourselves, not to get involved in cholera. E.g., maybe the children washing their hands, maybe often.
A food scientist speaks on the science behind cholera transmission and the devastating effects it may have on its victim.
Cholera is caused by Vibrio cholerae, a bacterium. And what happens is that when this bacterium enters into the gut, it causes irritation of the gut, and the small intestine, and then it causes churning. That's the stomach cramps associated with cholera. It causes churning of the stomach, and a lot of water is lost. About 1.5 liter of water, which is a lot. A lot of water, is lost as watery stool from the body. That stool is a watery one that looks like rice water, foaming stool, a cloudy stool, and then is also associated with vomiting. So as the person is vomiting, the person is also stooling, losing so much water, and that's what leads to dehydration. And that is why ORT is usually recommended to replace the body ions that have been lost. If not, it can quickly lead to death. Stomach cramps, vomiting, diarrhea are now put together, you understand, when it comes to cholera, compared to dysentery that is just passing of watery stools. Cholera infects people through contaminated water. If the water is contaminated with fecal contamination, with feces, human feces. For instance, if the stool of somebody who has cholera now gets into water or food of any other person, it can also lead to spread of cholera. Those who use the restroom and they don't wash their hands, with soap and running water after using the restroom, they end up contaminating whatever they touch, whether water or drink or even food. So contaminated water, contaminated food cooked with the contaminated water, contaminated foods washed with contaminated water. All of this can cause cholera if the water is already contaminated with fecal material, that's feces.
Back in time, cholera has led to the loss of lives in various countries of the world, up until the 1854 outbreak of cholera in Seoul's section of London. John Snow, who was considered to be the father of epidemiology, used scientific methods to identify the environment in which cholera was spreading. By disrupting this environment, he ended the epidemic. With the severe and deadly impacts of cholera on individual, communities, and economy, by understanding the real causes, it can be prevented.
With regards to homes, with regards to our communities, you discover that we have open septic tanks, soakaways, collapsed soakaways, So with the current flooding that we have experienced, the flash floods that we have experienced in Lagos State recently, most of the fecal materials are moved with rainwater and they end up getting into our groundwater. So they get into our wells, our water sources, and before you know it, our water becomes contaminated. So in the process, cholera outbreak is inevitable. You discover that there are locations where we have dump sites very close to markets, to commodity markets. That is a major concern with regards to sanitation and safety of the food that we eat. As food experts and the food safety advocates, many times we educate these vendors on what they should do to ensure safety of the food products that they sell. But the government also needs to help our vendors. They need to help our markets in ensuring that there's proper sanitation in our markets. Some of those markets need remodeling. If you go to the section where they sell tomatoes, you will see the tomato water and everything. You see the whole place mushy. The government needs to help to remodel this market such that it will be easier for them to keep proper sanitation, in the course of their operation. You see those who sell plantain, banana, putting them on bare floor, this, and that is why when we buy these products, we must wash them first before we even try to process. If I buy yam tubers, before I process, I wash first, so that you would have reduced the level of contamination on that tuber before you even begin to slice and peel. So hygiene goes with sanitation.
While contaminated food, poor hygienic practices have been identified as a major cause of cholera. Food handlers and vendors play a crucial role in preventing the spread of the disease.
Vendors and handlers, if they don't observe good hygiene, can end up contaminating what they process. So when a vendor uses contaminated water to rinse fruits, that can lead to contamination, and that can lead to spread of cholera. Most of us enjoy street dishes. We just branch off at what mama puts, and we start to eat maybe ofada rice and stew. Mind you, this vendor does not have knowledge of good hygiene. What some of them do after maybe taking care of their young ones who has just defecated, they don't know they ought to wash their hands with soap and running water. They just come use that same hand to handle food material. In the process, they contaminate these food materials. We also love roasted plantain and all of those on the road. But after processing, these foods should be kept in a covered container. If it is a glass kind of container that can showcase what we are selling, not to leave it open. Many a times I feel like buying this stuff, but when I see them being exposed on the rack, I don't come near them, because recontamination, the heat must have destroyed whatever can cause contamination. But when it is now left exposed after processing, it can become recontaminated. At home, women are basically the food handlers. And so it is important for us as women to ensure that we know the source of the water that we are using to process, and then cook our food thoroughly. And then after cooking, you don't expose the food. Many of us serve food on the dining table, and then we leave the food, we enter the kitchen to do other things. That is very, very wrong, because in the process, flies can perch, insects can crawl on the food before your arrival. So we must always ensure that cooked food are covered.
Through collective efforts of the citizens, communities, local and state governments, cholera cases can be reduced and nipped in the bud. Through proper hygiene and eating right, we can prevent the spread of cholera. Thank you for joining me all through this journey. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles. It's right there on the screen. Like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button for more. Till we meet next week. Bye for now.